I can't go on living.
The voice muttered so softly that I almost missed it. Come home. I tried to sound as cheerful and upbeat as possible, but my voice quivered. A quiet silence ensued. Is it okay? With a hesitant voice, I couldn't help but shed a tear. This is your home too, you know. After that, there were no words, we just cried together. My son, looking somewhat embarrassed as he opened the front door, seemed to have put on more weight than when we last lived together. No, that's not right. Upon closer look, he was swollen. His father and mother-in-law had been siphoning off his salary, and he had been surviving on instant noodles for all 3 meals. It's impossible for anyone to maintain physical and mental health in such a situation. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath to contain my anger. I've been put through a lot by my husband and mother-in-law, but this was the first time I felt this enraged. A mother's role is to protect her son. Just 2 more months. With determination, I opened my eyes and said to my son, can you hang in there for just 2 more months? By then, those 2 will be going down to hell. No, they'll probably send themselves there. My name is Mary, 50 years old. I work in accounting at a company and live alone in an old 2-bedroom apartment in New York. Although I live alone now, I have a husband and a child. Up to a year and a half ago, our family of 4 lived in this cramped apartment. My husband, Tom, who's 2 years my senior, is a corporate employee and holds the position of sales director. He had his issues before we got married, but after tying the knot, he became the very definition of a workaholic. However, he dumped all the household responsibilities on me, even though I also worked full-time. I was the one who attended all our son John's school events, taking off from work when necessary. Our son John is turning 24 this year. Ever since he was a little boy, he was quite the rascal, often coming home with his clothes covered in mud. Even when I'd come home exhausted from work, his clothes and body would be gritty. When I'd brush my hand over his head, sand would fall out. Get in the shower right now. If there's one good thing about this rundown apartment, it's that it has a proper bathroom. Even when I scolded him, John would just laugh and say with an innocent smile, let's eat dinner first, Mom. Mischievous, yet so endearing. Seeing my son smile, it felt like all the exhaustion from work just melted away. Then there's my other family member, my mother-in-law, Linda. She was the root cause of why I ended up living alone like this. She retired and started living with us when John was 6 years old. Tom, having grown up just with his mother, was somewhat of a mama's boy. When Linda called saying she wanted to move in, Tom didn't consult with me and just said, sure. Without a second thought. Why did you agree without discussing it with me? Seeing my frowned face, Tom showed an angry expression. Why are you against living with my mom? What's your reason? She raised me on her own, working hard as a single mother. He argued passionately. But our apartment is small, and John's at that mischievous age. I wonder if Linda wouldn't get tired of it all. I said hesitantly, trying to argue my point. I always loved how devoted Tom was to his mom, but realistically, living with 4 people in this tiny apartment seemed impossible. Is that all? Tom laughed. My mom doesn't care about small spaces. The apartment we used to live in was old and run down. She worked hard so we could move to a better place. We're working hard to buy a condo, she'll understand. She's retired, she'll probably help out around the house. Tom continued. Mary, you're working too. It'll probably make things easier. Hearing that, I felt a bit relieved, thinking, he's considered my feelings too. But then Linda, entering the room with her bags, said, oh my, what a small and messy place. I told you, right? We're working hard to buy a nice, new condo. Tom explained, his face reddening as he tried to make light of the situation. Well, it's been how long since you 2 got married? 7 years? 8 years? And you still haven't saved enough? She looked at me disapprovingly. Mary, you're working, right? I raised this boy on just my salary. Then she had an idea. Maybe you should cover the living expenses with just your salary, Mary. That way, all of Tom's earnings can go towards the condo. I can't do that. I began, but Tom grabbed my shoulder. Brilliant idea, Mom. You did raise me on a single income. I thought he must be out of his mind. Linda had raised just one child. And she probably had some support being a single mother. Now they're asking me to cover the expenses for 4 people on just my salary. But to prevent being ridiculed further by Linda, Tom desperately tried to convince me. With this plan, that luxury condo isn't just a dream anymore. Thanks to Mom, she'll take care of John, and we can push forward. That's right. You two will work hard. I'm here, and I'll take care of John. Linda said, patting John's head. I sighed softly. Reluctantly, I agreed. If Linda would take care of John and help around the house, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But then, my back hurts. I guess I'm getting old. Recently, I've been feeling dizzy. I worked and did housework and childcare. Maybe it's time for me to relax a bit. Turns out, she kept making excuses and didn't do any housework. Tom said, "She's not feeling well, can't help it," and asked me to do more chores. At least help out, Tom. I'm the sole breadwinner for our family of 4, and I gotta do overtime. If you're gonna say that, I'm also working hard to buy a luxury condo. You have no idea how tiring sales can be. Tom snapped back. The goal had shifted from a new condo to a luxury new condo. I was so frustrated. Thinking this was Linda's influence. Looking back, I felt I did my best. Once John started school, Linda would often go out with her new friends. They got along well, going to luncheons and spa trips. She not only used her pension but also asked Tom for money. "Are you feeling better?" I'd ask. She'd retort, "I'm going to the spa because I'm not." "She bullies me," Linda would complain to Tom, who'd scold me. "You're such a mean wife." From then on, they'd blame me for everything, not doing house chores, late meals, bad food. When I scolded John for misbehaving, Linda would defend him. "Don't bother listening to that clueless person," she said. "This is for education." She ignored my protest. "Your grandma got you some candies over there." With that, she pampered John. Well, he's just a kid. Naturally, he'd be more attached to a grandma who always spoils him than a nagging mother like me. Gradually, he stopped listening to me, and Linda even took him away from me. John started working after graduating from college last year. And then, out of the blue, he announced, "We bought a brand new luxury condo, so we're gonna move." "We?" I found the way he phrased it odd. I had suspected for several days that the 3 of them were up to something. "Yeah. Oh, and we'll leave the furniture and appliances for you to use. We'll buy new ones." I couldn't help but wonder why I had put up with this for so long. Still, the idea of finally being free from these 2 overwhelmed me. People must wonder why I never divorced. Of course, I had brought up divorce before. But Tom, always concerned about what others think, never agreed. "That's one reason." "And the second reason?" he said. "If we divorce, you'll never see John again." No matter how much they despised me, or looked down on me with mocking eyes, John was my son. The thought of never seeing him again was unbearable. I wanted to witness his growth. But now, he's an adult. He can earn his own money and make decisions for himself. I believed he would do just fine. Take care. I waved goodbye to the 3 of them with a smile. A year and a half later, I received a letter. "Let's divorce." That's all it said, along with the business card of the lawyer. Tom, now holding a position as a department head, surely cares about public opinion. Even so, to send such a letter. After all this time refusing to divorce, I was flabbergasted by his audacity. Did he finally cross a line? I pondered as I opened my apartment door. Suddenly, my cell rang. The screen showed John's name. I answered immediately. Hello? There was silence on the other end. I repeated. Hello? John? After a moment, I heard quiet sobbing.
Mom, help me.
What?
I can't take it anymore.
On the other side of the phone, my son John, who should have been a proud adult, was crying. His stifled sobs were audible, interspersed with him trying to swallow his tears. His choked-up voice resonated through the receiver. Something happened? How about your dad and grandma?
They're out having dinner together.
Dinner? Just the two of them? What about you? Did you already eat?
I'm eating now. Instant noodles.
Oh. I couldn't understand the meaning. Neither the reason for the call nor why he was crying. John, what's going on? Can you explain slowly? I finally grasped the situation after listening to John's hesitant explanation. In their new place, a luxury condo, those jerks were enjoying themselves, and they were forcing John to endure the same treatment they had done to me. No, it was even worse. I could at least cook meals within my means. Of course, not luxurious meals with premium ingredients. But I managed to prepare enough for 4 people using discounted or inexpensive ingredients. When I got a job, Grandma said we should open a bank account for my paycheck. So, we did it together. She said I'd need to pitch in for the household expenses. I thought, well, it's Grandma. I even entrusted her with my ATM card. It was fine at first. I even received an allowance. But then, gradually, my allowance kept decreasing. Meals that used to be ready-made and laid out on the table disappeared. For a while now, I've not been receiving any allowance and have been eating instant noodles for all 3 meals. John chuckled weakly. I even bring instant noodles to work every single day. My colleagues tease me about it. I just laugh it off saying, I love instant noodles, you know. Living in such a luxury condo, and yet. John continued with a self-deprecating laugh.
I can't go on anymore.
His voice was so soft, I almost missed it. Excuse me? I was about to ask, but I didn't. I couldn't just say. What are you talking about? Instead of blaming or scolding my son, I said as a mother. Come back home. I tried to sound as cheerful and upbeat as possible, but my voice trembled. A heavy silence followed. Is it okay? I couldn't hold back the tears hearing his hesitant voice. What are you talking about? This time, I said it. This is your home too. After that, there were no words. We just cried together. The next day. My son, looking somewhat embarrassed as he opened the front door, seemed to have put on more weight than when we last lived together. No, that's not right. After staring at him for a while, I realized he was swollen, not fat. Being exploited for his paycheck by his husband and mother-in-law, he only ate instant noodles for all 3 meals. There's no way he could maintain a healthy body and mind with that. Are you okay? Well, not really. I've got a headache, and I'm feeling dizzy. He added with a troubled smile. Lately, I've been running out of breath easily too. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath to suppress my anger. I've been through a lot with my husband and mother-in-law, but this was the first time I felt this angry. A mother's duty is to protect her child. Just 2 more months. I opened my eyes determinedly and said to my son, can you bear with it for just 2 more months? If he did, we could send those 2 to hell. Or better yet, they'll dig their own grave. The first thing I did was contact a divorce lawyer. Then, I had John write his resignation letter. Okay? Eat instant noodles at home as you've been doing, but try to eat something nutritious at work. Saying that, I handed him some money. Don't let those 2 find out you have this money, okay? I had an appointment to meet Tom. We agreed to meet at a cafe after work. It's been a while. Looking at Tom, who had taken the seat across from me, I thought, I knew it. He looked every bit the man living in a luxury condo, dressed in a high-end suit. Still, he's as vain as ever, always worrying about what others think. Such a shallow man. How's John doing? When I asked, he responded with, "Of course he's doing well. He's got his own room now and is living comfortably. I just wish he'd marry soon so we can live together. I'd be happy to see my grandkids." You? Happy to have grandkids? Weren't you indifferent to parenting? I laughed sarcastically. What's with the attitude? I don't want to fight when we're seeing each other after so long. How's your mom? Cutting him off, I quickly asked. Oh, she's doing well too. Said she was going out with a friend for an overnight trip. Oh, really? As I expected, they both seemed to be living their usual carefree lives. Honestly, like mother, like son. This man, who's likely pleased about our divorce, doesn't realize the situation he's in. He should be asking to live with me again, but remains oblivious. By the way, about that apartment. I'm thinking of giving it up. I need your signature for it. Sure, I have no attachment to that old, rundown place. All right. I'll handle the paperwork. I'll mail you the documents, so please sign and send them back. Okay, got it. Well, I should get going. Standing up with the check in hand, as a final gesture of goodwill. I didn't get a thank you. Tom just looked up at me. You're leaving just like that? We might not see each other again. Yes, I have to go home and cook my own dinner. You should treat yourself to eating out once in a while. Looking down coldly at Tom as he sipped his coffee, I remarked. I can't shake off my frugal habits. Turning my back on the man who laughed mockingly, I suddenly remembered. Oh, right. And turned back to him. I was invited by an acquaintance to play some slot machines recently. I actually won a few $100s. Surprisingly, slots are kinda easy. This comment got the most reaction since we met today. Right? They're addictive, aren't they? If you want, I'll go with you next time. You're joking, right? I sharply retorted. Go into the slots with my ex-husband who I divorced? Not in a million years. With that, I turned my back and started walking away. Now, the seed has been planted. Whether that seed withers or grows into a massive tree, it's up to you, Tom. 2 months later. I approached John, who was holding a bouquet of flowers. Finished with your last shift? Yeah. They even threw me a farewell party. Made me realize it was a pretty decent job. Maybe you wanted to stay longer? No, it's okay. I got an offer from another company last week, so I'm gonna start fresh next week. John had been discreetly moving his essential belongings, trying not to alert Tom and Linda. All he had was a single bag. It was just the right amount to leave his painful past behind. John left home this morning as usual. He applied for a new bank account for his paycheck and severance pay. The reason he never changed his bank account before was because he believed that the greedy Tom and Linda would never allow it. If they kicked him out, he thought he would be penniless and homeless. Living in such a toxic environment probably clouded his judgment. Even if he had come to my apartment, he'd likely be found and dragged back. So, I asked him to keep living his life until he could move to a new place. Shall we go now? I finished moving during the day. I handed the keys to the new place to John. Amazing, Mom. Buying a condo in just 2 months? It's a used one, and it's not that big with just 2 bedrooms and a living room. And we'll have to pay for it for a while. Still, it's money I saved up over the past year and a half, almost entirely for myself. I initially thought it might be for John's wedding, but using it as a down payment for the condo isn't bad. I'll help with the payments. You made me a co-owner of the condo after all. Let's not push ourselves too hard. Yeah, we'll be okay if we're together. Our new life together began that day. A few months after I started living with John. The doorbell, ringing persistently just after I returned from work. Was Tom and Linda on the intercom screen. With an angry face, Linda shouted, Mary, open up! The aggressive knocking would have disturbed the neighbors, so I opened the door. Please stop. Aren't you bothering the neighbors? Shut it! Isn't John here? If he's here, bring him out. He's here, isn't he? just come in. You're causing a scene for the neighbors. Sitting on the living room couch, Tom and Linda desperately tried to persuade John, who sat opposite them. John, your home is that condo over there, right? Want to go home with Grandma? When John didn't respond, they accused me. You lured him away, didn't you? More importantly, how do you know this address? I never told you about my new condo. I staked out your office and followed you here. Figured you took John based on when you moved. Give John back! Damn kidnapper! John snapped at those words. I chose to come here on my own. She's been protecting me. I'm an adult. I should be able to decide where I go. At John's words, Linda's tone instantly softened, almost cooing. We were just worried. When we called your office, they said you quit. You changed your cell number and we couldn't reach you. That's right. Even if you're an adult, you're still my kid. Did you think we wouldn't worry when you suddenly disappeared? John let out a bitter laugh. You were probably just worried about the money, since it stopped coming in. What are you talking about? I've got way more money. I bought you that fancy condo, not some second-hand place. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. What's so funny? After having my laugh, I looked at them both squarely. To begin with, your plan was flawed. Just because one income increases, you thought you could ditch the other. Just how long do you think I've been working at my company, and how many raises do you think I've had? Proud Tom shot back at my mocking tone. But with just one person, expenses are less. Even considering the condo fees, it's not as expensive as that old apartment's rent. If you'd lived in normal life, 2 salaries and 1 pension would have sufficed. But wearing flashy suits, going out every night, how did you think you could sustain such a ridiculous lifestyle? The two fell silent. Though Linda looked bitter, I didn't let up. By the way, Tom, is your new girlfriend candidate pretty? Much younger than you? Or both? What? Tom's face paled. What are you getting at? With how much you resisted divorce because of what people might think, your new partner must be someone to be envied. I thought she might be rich, but considering how desperately you're chasing John, that seems unlikely. This was news to Linda, who was wide-eyed. You're not telling me you've been lavishing money on that woman. No wonder you stopped giving us money. So that's it. Enough! That's why I never introduced her. How long do you plan on leeching off your kid? John's exasperated look said it all. We stood up simultaneously. Can you continue this discussion in your luxury condo? If you linger any longer in our home, we're gonna call the cops. They glared at us, spewing curses as they left. The reason Tom had been so desperate? He'd been showering a young woman with money, and she mistakenly believed he was wealthy. Decked out in high-end suits and buying her anything, it's no wonder she thought so. Eventually, Tom, not able to win John back, fell into his old vices. Slots, horse racing, and various other gambles. As a result, he went bankrupt. Selling the condo might have been a solution, but he'd already taken out a substantial loan against it. He was dumped by the girlfriend, lost trust at his job, and now apparently lives in an even worse apartment than before. I knew all this because Linda came over with some sweets, complaining endlessly. She claimed she was apologizing, but it seemed her true intent was to live with us. I'll pay for my stay from my pension. Of course, we politely declined with a smile and sent her on her way. I'm home. Every time I come home, my son's smiling face greets me. Oh, welcome back. We've got beef stew for dinner tonight. Wow, you made dinner? Thanks. Yeah, I managed to get off work on time today. My son tastes a bit from the plate I hand him and gives a thumbs up, saying, This is good. Awesome. John and I, a close-knit father and son, are living a harmonious life. John has gotten a lot healthier, having recovered from some swelling issues. Can you pack lunch for me again tomorrow? I'm gonna wake up early and help out. You can eat out sometimes, you know? Nah, your lunches are the best. Saying that, John grinned like a little kid.